Hello there, my name's Rob Redhead, and you're watching the Rob Redhead Musician Channel. This is where I perform my music, currently in a caravan, believe it or not, with all the recording equipment that I have, which is, I like the old school recording equipment, so I like your multitracks. And I come from an era of when I recorded my first album. So when I was 16, I was a kid, and that was with a heavy metal band. And what we were doing was we were in a big recording studio. It was exactly what you see on in the archive, Patty and Hughes footage. Big reel-to-reel tapes and all this sort of stuff. Everything big, you need big muscles to move stuff about. So it was all. It was at the cool face. That's what it was like, chipping away at cool underground, recording an album. So obviously when the digital equipment came out in late 90s, early 2000s, it was, wow, what's this? Couldn't believe it. And I was in my 1968 camper van, busking around Europe. I had this act, which is a long story, but it was a marionette puppet. And I would wear costume, and I would travel around doing that. And I would play an acoustic, and I would operate it from me leg. It sounds bizarre, and it was just brilliant. It wasn't bizarre, it was fantastic entertainment, and it was great. And you didn't need to speak the language. It was a visual thing. You didn't need any amplifiers, because it was an acoustic guitar, and it was a visual thing. So because originally it was a rabbit, and then it became I made robots, which was even better, really. I've still got all these puppets. I call them puppets. When you think of a puppet, you think of like a hand puppet. Well, they weren't puppets; they're like a marionette. And the idea came to us when I was coming back from London or something, and I was thinking about, I was busking with an acoustic guitar, and it was just covering me petrol, right? And I saw this fella, just a young lad as well, and he had this thing, and he was sat down, and it was a wooden man, and he was playing a mandolin, and the way it was moving about, I thought, that's good. So I started talking to him, and we're swapping. I was thinking about doing something like with marionettes or puppets and all that, so we're swapping ideas. I said, well, where did you get this? Well, how did you come up with this? And he was just telling us, and then he stopped himself halfway through, and he says, well, hold on a minute, I'm telling you all my secrets here. And I was just laughing. Anyway, had a bit of a talk, went back to my camper van, got the pencil and paper out, and just wrote down everything I saw. But the thing is, what I remember thinking was, I can actually massively improve on that, because it was a bit shabby, really, what he had. It was a bit basic, but I like the concept. But I thought, I've seen this before somewhere, and as it turned out, it was basically what he'd getting it from, and the origins of what he had comes from, it's an Irish tradition of folk music that would have like a wooden man, no taller than the palm of your hand, and it would be on a wooden dowel to its back. And just as you would have, sometimes you'd have somebody with spoons, clipping spoons together as a rhythmic instrument, there would always be one of them knocking about. And but this thing it would be put on your knee, and it would just be, you'd clip the dowel, and its arms and legs would move, or it'd be on a wooden board, and it would make a sort of rhythmic sound. And these guys would be on the folk sessions, going back hundreds of years. You'd have musicians playing and singing. So this was just it's a folk thing. And I also remember thinking, I used to go to a country festival as well, where I lived. And I definitely remember seeing it there. And also I researched this festival as well recently. And some of the characters, there was costume characters used to come. Because it was all folk, but it was all when I say costume characters, I would mean something like Morris Men. But it wasn't the Morris Men. It was different. And I always remember thinking that this is it would be great for a band, the way they looked. And this is me at 19 years old, and I'm seeing all this So all this stuck in my head. Like, so when I came to do my puppet act, marionette act, I brought in all of this from what I could remember from 10, 15 years earlier as images I'd seen. So it was a great act that I had, and I'm away traveling around Europe doing it. You know, if people would ask, you know, oh, why didn't you do your music? Well, the thing is, I did one day, and I went to Newcastle upon Tyne, which is like literally the worst town to go to perform busking because they just, you know, what can you say? Anyway, I did make some money, but I went there and I had backing tracks playing, and I had a massive crowd. All of a sudden, there was like hundreds of people stood in a circle. So I started doing all the Jimi Hendrix stuff, but I totted up the money at the end of the day, and I thought it's no better. It's not as good as the puppet sort of thing, and I had to have a car battery amp as well when I done it, and anyway, I got back home and it was like, nah, I can't be bothered, you know. I'm just, and in any case, I don't want to be doing music on the streets. I would be thinking that I'm better than that. Not in a nasty way, I'm better than that, but you know, me music deserves to be, you know, on a stage and with a band and stuff like that. So I thought, well, I'll just stick with this puppet because it means I can get traveling around Europe. It's acoustic. It doesn't need any amplification. It's a visual thing, and that was me off at the races. And you know, I'd done that for 20 years, and it was great. And I still got all the puppets and all the rods and all the equipment. I've still got it all, like, because I always just think, well, that's always something to fall back on. You know, you don't need any amplification, and it's a really good thing. Like, although they are dancing robots, and and literally, technology is moving so fast. Like, I mean, we are literally going to have dancing robots in about 10 years' time, real ones. So all that happened. Anyway, back to the story. Right, so I'm doing the puppets, and I'm in Belgium, and there is newspaper stands outside newsagents in Belgium, and there's a magazine called Sound on Sound, which is a British magazine, and about music equipment, and it was like £25. Now you could buy it in Britain for like £3, but you know, it was because it was whatever, it was costing a fortune over there. But you know, I couldn't get a TV signal or nothing. But this is before digital TV. You know, you're talking 1999, so it was going to give us something to read anyway after a hard day's busk, and I just noticed all this new technology, this new multitrack equipment coming out, and I just thought, wow. So now I had a reason to stick out there because you were busking about. I wanted to get the money to get this recording equipment, get myself based back over in England, out in the sticks, and start recording, which is exactly what I did. And that's pretty much what I did for like since then, really, on and off. I went back to music about 7 or 8 years ago. I was just sick of doing this puppet thing, and I thought the music industry is never going to come back the way it was. I'm sick of doing this puppet thing. Why don't I just go out and do music? You've got the technology now. You don't need to take a car battery out with you. These rolling cubes and other busking amps were available. And obviously the rolling cube, I mean, it's like 8, AA batteries. And that'll go Judas Priest volume all day, right? I mean, unreal, like. I still don't kind of get my head around that, like. So, because you've got to be quite loud to be over the noise of the traffic, although I like to keep it, like, sweet, like, and I don't want to be blasting, like, for my own ears, really. And so I did, like, we'll say 8 years ago, was it 2016, whatever that is. And because it's now coming to the end of 2023. And obviously we had what we had to go through as well. So I wasn't out doing that then. And I had to come up with the backing tracks. I came up with backing tracks. And literally when I went out with all these new backing tracks, all the songs worked out to fit my voice. I was only going to do covers this time because I'd never wanted to do covers in my life. I always just wanted to do my own music. Well, I decided I'm just going to do covers. I'm just going to enjoy music. I'm just going to go out there, and this is still what I think now. Just want to enjoy doing music, all the music I grew up listening to and loved. So, and your sort of classic, sort of country and all the rest of it. I mean, I was always into country because of the Byrds and other bands as well, where you get that country rock thing. And go out, and it was great. And it's, like I say, it's been great. It's never stopped being great. The reaction, people, and I wouldn't say I wished I'd done it earlier, because doing the marionettes, puppets, was perfect for me then. It was a different time, and it was, like I say, it was an acoustic visual setup. So there was times that, my car, one time I had a car and I was keeping in the back of this car, and it broke down in my street or something in Holland. And I just sort of dumped it, where there's a fella who had a garage there, and just picked up and walked off. I've got a tent, I've got me puppet stuff, I've got my acoustic guitar, and I just kept on going on the trains and on the buses. So that was the good thing about, when you're not carrying amplifiers, you can still keep moving, That's important, you want to keep on moving. But like I said, the new technology there would allow that anyway, so you could still do music traveling about. And that's pretty much it, really. I think this has turned into the history of me with my puppet and my music. I don't think there's much more to say on that. That was what I did. That is what I did. And I have great memories of all that time, being out there around Europe, in different vehicles, old vans, old camper vans, old cars. I once bought in Amsterdam. Was it Amsterdam? I think I bought a brand new. They call them granny bicycles. It's your typical Dutch bicycle, and I bought a brand new. It was €450 back then, and because I always wanted to have one, because I used to see the student kids, lads and lasses, they would have these, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. So I bought one of them, and I just started pedaling. I pedaled across Holland, which was easy, and then kept going. Or did I? No, I got a 9 Megan, and I bought some other stuff, and I pinned it all to the bike. And, it was like just loads of equipment I pinned onto this bike, and I pedaled all the way back. That was good. And like I say, I've just stuff like that. But all these things wouldn't have been possible without my creativity, without my music, because the whole thing wasn't just visual. There was music being played in the background on a guitar, and that was all good memories. And if I wanted to do it all again, I could do it all again tomorrow. That's a good thing. If I want to go and do it, I got my passport, I'll go and do it. But at the moment, I'm quite happy doing my music. My music goes down really well, and actually, to tell you the truth, parking a Dutch bicycle on a farm field and keeping in a tent, probably I wouldn't be able to handle that now. I like the comfort of at least a car, And sometimes people would say, well, how can you sleep in a car? Just a car. It can be any size car. Well, as long as you can get flat in the car, you're all right. And I'll say, well, look, see this car here? This is the world's best tent. Yeah, it's the world's best tent. Doesn't leak. It's got a radio in it. Keeps you warm and dry. And it's got wheels on it, so it can take you anywhere. It's just the world's best tent. Simple, really. What is it about traveling? Exactly. Traveling. It doesn't matter how you get there. As long as you get there. Then if you get there warm, dry, and on wheels, yeah, no problem. Thanks for listening. See you in the next video. All the best.